little bit something with that new intro. This is Round 2 Wrestling, and welcome back. This is our 4th podcast. Before I get started, I would like to say thank you to Ultimate Championship Wrestling. That's UCW, based out of Saginaw, Michigan. These guys are giving me the opportunity to get back in the ring and referee. I just had my first set of matches this past weekend. We do some tapings and we get ready for some live events, but these guys are letting me break back into the industry that I once was in back when I was a teenager. I was able to put on the black and white stripes and get myself back in the ring. It's been a long time. I shook off a lot of ring rust, but things are only moving forward and positive from here. So once again, thank you to UCW out of Saginaw, Michigan for giving me another opportunity. All right, Round 2 Wrestling is going to kick off with our rumors section. WrestleVote says WWE legitimately has no idea what the WWE title match will be at WrestleMania. For those of you who don't know, the Royal Rumble took place this past weekend, and it was a mess. At least from the performer's point of view, it was a mess. In fact, it was quoted as saying on multiple pro wrestling rumors and news sites that the morale in the WWE locker room was quite low following the Royal Rumble. So it will be interesting to see what happens going forward and what or if anything happens within that company. Former WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax turned down a Royal Rumble invite, speaking of the Royal Rumble, but sources do not indicate as to why. My guess is just a bad taste left in her mouth from the previous time that she was employed by WWE and no longer wishes to associate herself with said company. WWE is very good at bringing people back into the fold after several years, so who knows, a couple years from now, 4 or 5 years from now, maybe her feelings toward the company will change and we will once again see her in a WWE ring. Austin Gunn filed to trademark a new team name that has supposedly been refuted for a long time. Are the Ass Boys tag team on the way? Or is this just hearsay to play into the whole AEW Gun Club Danhausen storyline? Only time will tell. All right, a lot happened this past weekend, and our results section of Round 2 Wrestling is absolutely packed full of information, so we will get to that as quickly as possible. Sammy Guevara, the interim TNT champion, defeated Cody Rhodes, the reigning TNT champion, in a ladder match to become the undisputed TNT champion. This match took place on Dynamite last Wednesday. This was the best match of the entire card, of the entire evening, and if you have any way to go back and check this out, or even check out highlights, this was a great match, and it was the first match of the night. So again, if you have the time or know somebody or some way to watch this, I would strongly suggest you go out of your way and watch this particular match. It is nice to see a unification match, and they did it the right way, I feel, with this TNT ladder match. AAA champion El Hijo del Vikingo defeated Aramis via pinfall to retain his title at MLW Azteca. Speaking of MLW champion Alex Hammerstone defeated Octagon Jr. to retain his title, also fought at MLW Azteca. Bobby Lashley defeated WWE Champion Brock Lesnar this past weekend at the Royal Rumble to once again become the WWE Champion. In that same light, Brock Lesnar then entered the Royal Rumble and won the damn thing. Just going to put that out there. He was in a match earlier in the night. He lost it, inserted himself into the Royal Rumble. Now he can fight for that title or any title that he chooses at WrestleMania. This is a weird angle and a weird way to go with this particular storyline. There is about a month, 2 months left until Mania, so only time will tell. Maybe this will work out in a way that I'm not seeing or the fans aren't seeing right now, but still very odd to see a champion lose his title at a pay-per-view only to insert himself into the tournament, or in this case the Royal Rumble later on, and win the damn thing. Seems kind of foolish to me, but once again, I am not booking WWE. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar, like I just stated, won the Men's Royal Rumble. And for those of you who don't know, the women of WWE also have their own Royal Rumble. And this year, Ronda Rousey, that's right, the rowdy one, she is back. She entered into the Rumble, won the whole damn thing, now gets to choose which title she wants to go after. Sources close to this particular podcast are indicating that a feud with Becky Lynch is in the books. Whether or not that actually comes to light has yet to be seen. All right, we will move on to the rankings portion of Round 2 Wrestling. The rankings portion of Round 2 Wrestling, I'm starting to find out, is going to be a little awkward because they do not release the rankings until Wednesday. So these are the rankings that were from last week. I stated this on the podcast just before this one. These aren't entirely accurate at the time of this broadcast, but they were accurate as of January 26th. Starting with the men's division for your second week in a row, Adam Cole is the number one contender for the men's heavyweight title. Dante Martin comes in at number 2 for the second week in a row. Number 3 sees Lance Archer move up the rankings. Number 4, Andrade El Idolo is also in that top 5. I feel like he has fallen a spot or two since the week before. Rounding out our number 5 in the men's division in AEW is Powerhouse Hobbs for the second week in a row. Moving to the women's division, Red Velvet at the time of this broadcast, or as of January 26th, was ranked number 1 in the women's division. Number 2, Legit Layla Hirsch, followed very closely by Serena Deeb at number 3. Number 4, Thunder Rosa, who fell 3 spots from number 1 to number 4, and finishing out the top 5 is Anna Jay. All right, finishing up our rankings portion of Round 2 Wrestling, we move on to the tag team division of AEW. Private Party was number 1 as of January 26th, followed very closely by the Gun Club, a.k.a. the Ass Boys. Third were the Acclaimed after losing that title match to the defending AEW Tag Team Champions Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. They come in at number 3. FTR is at number 4. I feel like they have fallen a spot or two since last week. And new to the top 5 in the tag team division, the Kings of the Black Throne. That is Malachi Black and Brody King. They are trying to make their run at a tag team title. They are former tag team champions, so watch out for these guys in the next couple of months. We may see them in a position of power before you know it. All right, moving on to the next portion of Round 2 Wrestling, our news section of Round 2 Wrestling. Frankie Kazarian has signed a new AEW contract, and according to PWInsider.com, details on length are unknown. My guess is he has been signed for at least a year, if not 2. With the breakup of SoCal Uncensored, it's hard to see the direction that Kazarian will take. Maybe a run at a TNT title is in the books, but only time will tell. WWE announces Shinsuke Nakamura has been cleared from hand injury. He has been out since December 18th. It was widely speculated that he would show up this past weekend. I personally did not see the Royal Rumble, but I also didn't read anything in any of my news outlets that said he was a part of this actual pay-per-view. The Elimination Chamber is WWE's next pay-per-view. Maybe he will be put in the books for that, or maybe as some sort of surprise entrant for a WrestleMania match that none of us are really aware of at this time could be in the books. Only time will tell, but it is nice to see him back from injury and healthy again. Fans were temporarily evacuated after the WrestleMania sign caught on fire at the Royal Rumble. This apparently happened twice throughout the night, both with the men and women's Rumble. There are a few videos and pictures of this particular ongoing available on the internet if you would really like to see for yourself what happened at the Royal Rumble. No reports of any injuries or any mishaps, but scary nonetheless. Hopefully WWE fixes their sign issues so this won't be a reoccurring problem problem later on. Ring of Honor announces plans for a Ring of Honor Hall of Fame, and the first inductees were announced, and it is a tag team. The Briscoes will be enshrined in the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame first before anybody else. More announcements as to who will be inducted are coming. AEW former women's champion Rio will be out for 3 months with a broken collarbone. This was an injury that occurred January 8th at the Battle of the Belts Saturday event when she fought AEW women's champion Dr. Britt Baker. Unclear as to when in the match the injury actually happened. However, you would actually not know because she finished the match, never complained, and never really showed any signs of having any sort of problem. So this was breaking news for me once I read this a few days ago. Hopefully the former women's champion has a quick recovery. She is back in Japan, so hopefully we see her back in the United States and fighting for AEW sooner rather than later. Moving on to our match of the week portion of Round 2 Wrestling. This was a match that took place last week, so it just happened. The AEW TNT ladder unification match, what I was just speaking about earlier in this podcast. Cody Rhodes, the reigning TNT champion, took on Sammy Guevara, the interim champion, in a physical, hard-fought match between two unpopular wrestlers. I'm going to say it. Cody Rhodes is about as unpopular as you could be within AEW, and Sammy Guevara, man, I feel bad for the guy. Sometimes he's popular, sometimes he's not. It seems like his reign as TNT champion was sort of unceremoniously cut short, only for the title to be put back on him after this ladder match. Lots of holy shit moments in this particular match. Finishers from the ladder by both fighters. Both wrestlers absolutely giving their all in a very action-packed 15-20 minute ladder match. At the end of it, Guevara picked up the win to become the undisputed TNT champion. We do have a ranking system here in Round 2 Wrestling for our match of the week, and this one gets 4.5 out of 5 bells. This was almost a perfect match. The only thing that would have made it perfect, I feel, would be the time length. If they would have made it longer, it would have been, I think, a perfect match. But a very good way to unite the TNT championships and declare an undisputed winner. All right, finishing out Round 2 Wrestling, we will do our Michigan highlight. Our Michigan highlight this week is Patrick Martin, a.k.a. Alex Shelley of the Motor City Machine Guns, a former TNA X Division champion and a two-time TNA Tag Team champion. Shelley started training in 2002 under Briar Wellington and Truth Martini here in Michigan. Then moved to Scott D'Amore's Border City Wrestling, finalizing his training. He debuted for Ring of Honor in 2003 and then debuted for the then NWA TNA in 2004. He joined New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2012, only to rejoin Ring of Honor 3 years later in 2015. He is a 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, a Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, a 2-time TNA Tag Team Champion, and an Impact X Division Champion. He was also ranked Tag Team of the Year in 2010 per PWI. That would be the Motor City Machine Guns. And he was ranked number 32 in the PWI 500 in 2009, his highest ranking as a singles fighter. All right, I thank you for taking the time to listen to Round 2 Wrestling and look forward to presenting you another show next week.